start that now. Okay. All right, it's 2 minutes after 12. I think we might get started. So as you're aware, I'm recording this session, and as per all of our executive exchanges, they're recorded and they're popped on our member portal for members to be able to access after if they weren't able to attend in person today. So welcome, and I'd like to just begin today by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet across Victoria today, and pay our respect to elders past, present and emerging, and we extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples who may be attending today. So quite exciting today, talking about collaboration between corporate, not-for-profit, social impact and all that involves. So I wanted to welcome the CEO, Tal Evans of Majestic Computer Technology. So over the course of Tal's career, he served on a number of advisory boards for several global technology vendors, as well as state government agencies, and most recently in 2018, Tal now owns and leads Majestic Computer Technology, which is a digital innovation advisory and consulting firm. So we welcome you today. And also we welcome the Foundation Learning Centre CEO, Sarah Lynch. So Sarah's career is a testament to her unwavering dedication to fostering growth and development in both individuals and communities. Her diverse background in dance, drama, education and training, youth work and business, she brings a unique perspective to her role at Foundation Learning Centre. So as I said, today's session is being recorded, and also just on a little discussion prior to beginning today, Tal and Sarah are quite happy for questions to be popped into the chat, and we can have a bit more of an interactive session perhaps towards the end of today, but we'll try our best. If I see them in the chat, I'll try to make our presenters today aware that they're there. So otherwise, I will now hand over. So thank you.
Thank you, Nina, and thanks to ACEVIC for inviting us to present today on a topic that Tal and I are very passionate about. So my name's Sarah Lynch, and I'm the very proud CEO at Foundation Learning Centre. Not sort of sure how many are familiar with FLC in the room. So we're a community-based, not-for-profit RTO, learn local, neighbourhood house, and as of this year, an independent school, but most importantly, a registered charity. So our mission is to provide a supportive and inclusive learning environment and educational journey for members of our community who are often marginalised and educationally disadvantaged. Our core business is predominantly vulnerable and disengaged young people. So FLC is a values-based organisation, and we seek to partner with like-minded organisations, and by joining forces means that we have a better chance at advocating and meeting our mission, which ultimately better supports the communities in which we serve. I'll hand over to Tal.
Right. Thank you. Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, Nina. Thank you both for inviting me to come along and join you today. So fundamentally, we are a technology business. We're not a not-for-profit. We're very much a for-profit, but we use our relationships with businesses and organizations that are for profit themselves to partly fund some of the social enterprise activities that we undertake with organizations like Foundation Learning Center. And really, we take our clients, not NFPs and others alike, through a journey of identifying where their business plan and technology aligns. So how to ensure that the technology investment is really driving whatever it is that the impact of the organization is aiming to deliver. And looking for that alignment ensures that, particularly when funding is very, very scarce, that we don't end up in a situation where projects are carried out and expenditures carried out, and it doesn't then deliver against the business plan, and particularly keeping in mind ensuring that technology obviously aligns well with operational activities, but also aligns really well with the need to ensure that there's that the strategies around the technology investment lend themselves to attraction and retention strategies for talent within the business, and likewise attraction and retention strategies for the people that the organization aims to serve. So recently we had an opportunity to create an impact video that captures the essence of the values of collaboration and the aim of attracting and retaining other businesses to want to get involved. And we obviously, in this instance, because of our relationship with FLC, we've done that around the story for FLC. But this is here to the purpose of it is to look for other corporates who would see themselves aligned with FLC's and FLC's vision and mission. But likewise, in the context of today's conversation, we'll present it next, and that's to encourage you to think about how you can do some of those things in your own organizations. So let's play that now.
Often people refer to us as their family, staff and students alike, that this is a fresh start for people. It's an individualised program that provides a lot of nurture and support. We serve our members of the community who are marginalised, educationally disadvantaged, and coming to Foundation Learning Centre means that they have a fresh start at education. So there's a lot of people within the community who are very isolated and require an opportunity to connect and feel part of something. There's a lot of work being done to break that cycle of generational poverty. It's about empowering individuals, it's about building their capacity and seeing them thrive, seeing them experience success. We know we're making a difference because we're still here 42 years later and have a genuine desire to make a difference. Here it's very much about providing a wraparound service where we're not only dealing with the educational outcomes of their learning, and we're very much about providing that holistic support. So that provides huge amounts of challenges that we are trying to build all of these things into the offerings that we have so that we're competitive, so that we can provide a professional service, so that we can give the young people the best possible educational offerings, but we don't have the financial support to do that. We were lucky enough to be introduced to Tal, and the team at Majestic were able to look at our strategic vision and work with me as the CEO on what I felt we needed and to support the growth in the business.
I've personally found a really strong connection with what Sarah was sharing with us about the values, about what the organisation was delivering, and that's something that for us as a business really aligned very well with our own values, and we felt that we could make a strong contribution here. We started by looking at what the organisation was looking to achieve. Our initial objectives was to get the foundation, excuse the pun, of the network right. That carried then through to an introduction of a new set of tools in the form of the devices that both the students and the staff were ultimately going to use. And we look to standardize the environment. when COVID hit and everyone was sent home, enabled the organization to continue to operate and deliver services. It enabled the staff to continue to communicate between themselves and to continue to communicate with students. And ultimately, it enabled the organization to open a second campus in Frankston and continue to manage an organization that's now running across multiple locations and be able to continue to provide services, share staff, share resources, share capability. The most important way that we could contribute towards that was in delivering a cohesive technology platform for the organization to be able to operate. Our entire team, when they're engaged in the delivery of services for an impactful organization such as Foundation Learning Centre, there's a great deal of personal pride and satisfaction. To get up in the morning and know that part of what you're doing has a greater purpose is incredibly enriching.
We would not have been able to do that without our partnership with Majestic. It's imperative that we partner with organisations and businesses to deliver our mission. So if this is something that you feel that you want to be part of, please reach out and we'd love to have a conversation about how we can work together to change the lives of the young people that are within our programs.
All right, well, thank you very much for watching. That impact video is very much a great visual representation of how two organisations can come together to provide better outcomes for a community. And both Tal and I are very proud of the partnership, and we see it as a best practice model. So now we're going to just shift into some key messages that we hope will generate some interest and some ideas for you within your own organisation. So probably the most important point, or the question that everybody's asking, is how to attract corporate partnerships. So I'm going to hand over to Tal, who's going to speak to each of these points.
Excellent. Thank you. Right. So I'm going to draw on the experience from the relationship and the engagement with FLC in particular, and of course, it's important to understand that there's no right or wrong here. There's a multitude of different ways in which this can happen. What I'm going to describe now is how it happened in this context. So, in essence, on a particular occasion, some 4 and a bit whatever years ago, someone that was at that point in time involved with FLC as a member of Sarah's team approached me. We knew each other, and this individual approached me and said, "I'd really love for you to come in and meet with us and see what we do, and have an opportunity to hear from Sarah as CEO about the impactful work that we do in the community, and see whether there is an opportunity for you to, or for your organization, your business, to help us get more effective in how we're utilizing our budget in a technology context." So naturally, hearing a little bit from this individual about what the organization was all about, and having a look at the website, that immediately resonated with me. So I was already in the right mood for that conversation. And by the time I came in, and I think that in FLC's case, the meeting room that I had to get to is very strategically positioned in the middle of the office area. And so you're effectively going through, as you enter the building, you're going through some of the classroom areas. And I had the opportunity, almost without realizing, but I had the opportunity on my way walking up into that room to see some of the classes in action. So that already created a connection for me to a far greater extent that it would have had I've walked into somewhere that potentially didn't have any mechanism for demonstrating the impact that the organization delivers out in the community. So that was already very evident. And even when I came into the room that we met in, on the wall, the organization's vision, mission, and values is very clearly outlined as a wallpaper, essentially on the wall. I don't know whether people recall that from the video that we just saw before, but I found that particularly important because it immediately gave me a mechanism for establishing for myself as a CEO of our business why I was in the room, because I could see a lot of alignment between what FLC were doing and how we operate. In our case, the relationship came about because FLC had a particular need to ensure that the limited funds that the organization has was well and truly targeted in the areas that would deliver the greatest amount of benefit to the organization. So they needed our service, which we're offering, and we're already delivering successfully to many other businesses and organizations. But the conversation already had some substance to it right from the beginning. And so for Sarah, leveraging the story that she told me at the time about FLC and what FLC does in the community, because that resonated so strongly and because it was so well aligned with what we do, and I suspect that Sarah did her homework on us as well beforehand, Sarah was able to curate the conversation to suit a context that would resonate well with us. And likewise, I was able to curate the content in my conversation and the messaging that I was delivering back in a way that resonated well with Sarah and the FLC organization and its purpose. So understanding and doing a little bit of homework, I suppose, was key to that relationship coming into play. Sarah, is there anything that you want to add on that point?
I think from your perspective, Tal, what would be great to hear from you as a corporate business owner, how what do people need to do in order to find an organization? Who should they be targeting, and just some key messaging around that?
Sure. So look, I guess if we start first by what do we need to do? I can tell you categorically, the person that introduced us, we met through a networking event. That's how that relationship started. And that relationship grew over time. We had a number of opportunities to meet. So it wasn't just an isolated instance where we met just once, and because invariably, following the philosophy of know, like, trust, you can know someone, but it takes time as human beings for us to build a level of appreciation for what each individual in a relationship brings to the table. And then it takes even longer, typically, for trust to build. And I doubt it very much that this particular person that introduced us, Sarah, would have brought me into the room had they not have felt that they really trusted that, first of all, that they liked our story, but that they really trusted that we would be able to help, because the last thing that anyone wants is for any ensuring relationship to be one-sided. So I think that that's an imperative. As far as who to target, I think it stands to reason that in the first instance, the most logical places to start is with the things that the organization needs. Yeah. So every organization has its core function. These are the things that you're employing people directly or indirectly, whether they're staff members or contractors, to perform on behalf of or together or within the organization. Your core mission, so to speak. But there are a lot of things that the organization, any organization, in order for it to function, it needs either in a fractional capacity where there isn't necessarily the justification to employ someone in a full capacity. And indeed, the organization is not necessarily going to have the wherewithal, financially or otherwise, to do that. And it wouldn't necessarily make sense to do that. Now, again, speaking from experience in the context of technology, to be able to bring to bear all the know-how required to run technology inside a business typically takes more than one person to do that, because a single person cutting across multiple domains of expertise is only ever going to be a generalist. It's impossible to be a subject matter expert when you're dealing with a whole variety of different issues. And in the technology space, being that it moves very, very fast, it's impossible to know everything. So if you can imagine for an organization like FLC, with a team of, help me here, Sarah, how many people?
We've got 63 staff.
Right. So with a team of 63 staff at the time when we say, and I know that the other part of the organization, the independent school, has additional people as well, but specifically insofar as the learning center is concerned, 63 people, it's not economically viable to employ a team of 6 people who are, arguably speaking, who are each subject matter experts in a particular area. And in fact, if you wanted to be more granular than that, just in the context of security, of cybersecurity, you'd probably need 6 people, let alone all the other things that we do. But to have the opportunity to gain impact or capability from a whole bunch of different people and bring that to bear in the context of what FLC endeavors to achieve. So the same applies in every other aspect. I know that FLC, you have a relationship with an external marketing agency that assists FLC in delivering your messaging out to a broader audience. You have a relationship with an organization that delivers printing capability when you need things to be done professionally. So it presents itself in a number of different ways, but really the simplest place to start is with the businesses and organizations that you believe that you have a need for their services, because that already creates a good starting conversation.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Tal. So I think I'd just like to talk to the last point about being clear about your messaging and telling your story effectively with impact. So I think that it's really important for community organisations to draw on the history of the organisation and to consult with and involve the collective. So chatting with staff, chatting with students, and chatting with your community about what your organisation means to all of those parties, to come up with some consistent language that you need to use in your communication efforts. So making sure everybody's on the same page, making sure that you're involving all of the stakeholders to get that consistent language. Another important point is that for community organisations, not-for-profits, is that you need to have your board on board, if that makes sense. You need to have them as part of the journey and seeing that the services that you require and the partnerships that you require, they're seeing value in that, because it's important that they can see that as a priority and see that the outcomes that can evolve. So using consistent language, consulting with the collective, and that will formulate part of your messaging in being able to tell your story to potential partners for collaboration. We're now going to move to some of the mutual benefits to both community.
Just perhaps before we do, just on that,
Yeah.
Sorry to interject there, Sarah, but I think, and I just want to make sure that we don't gloss over this, because I think that that's incredibly important. Researching is very important. We don't, as a corporate, we categorically do not align ourselves with just any not-for-profit organization. We specifically look to align ourselves with not-for-profit organizations where we see that there is a mechanism that will allow us to create a connection between how we align ourselves internally, the intrinsic and extrinsic connection that we have to a particular organization and the impact that it aims to deliver. And I think that the same applies to the not-for-profit, to the for-impact organization. Researching and finding specifically the businesses and corporate businesses that you want to align yourselves with, and understanding what's important to them means that when ultimately there is a conversation, you're not just running in a multitude of different directions, that there's a very, I guess, carefully curated. I won't go as far as to say that, you want to make it shouldn't be fake. It needs to be natural, and it needs to resonate. And the only way that it resonates is when it's completely truthful. But find the businesses and people that are going to like you and what it is that you do. Then start a conversation with them.
Thank you, Tal. So in terms of mutual benefits, when I think about Foundation Learning Centre, we are very much about making a social impact, and some of the ways that we are able to do that through the support of organisations like Majestic is that we provide a safe and secure place for diverse and often vulnerable members of the community. We increase education and employment opportunities. We provide a space for connection and for support. And as mentioned in the video, we're aiming to break the cycle of generational poverty through early intervention, education, and wellbeing support. The mutual benefits for a community and corporate partnership for FLC are ultimately that we can create better outcomes for our staff and the community that we serve. Through knowledge and mentorship. So having a partnership with Majestic and working alongside Tal provides a different lens. Tal looks at things with a different lens, offers a different perspective. Often when we're on the ground and in the not-for-profit, it can be a really tough slog, and it's great to have that mentorship and that opportunity to have a conversation with somebody that has a different perspective, but has a vested interest in the organisation. Advocacy. So in the not-for-profit sector, as we know, a lot of the work that we're doing is around advocacy and trying to generate new partnerships and trying to generate new income and ways in which we can become more sustainable into the future. So having another voice within the communities and different networks, more corporate networks, is a great benefit to a not-for-profit. Donated goods or services, so that can come in the form of physical items, discounts, some pro bono work, and it can also be their time. And of course, sponsorship. So that's often in financial support of events or fundraising initiatives, but then there might be programs that you run within your community organisation, such as FLC. We run a breakfast program for young people who don't have access to a meal in the morning, or for many of them for days on end. So Majestic have sponsored our breakfast program for years, which makes such a huge difference to our ability to continue that service. I'll hand over to you, Tal.
Thanks, Sarah. So look, I'll reiterate before I start on the list on the right-hand side, which is what are directly our benefits. I just can't stress it enough. I think that our nation, and it's perhaps a little bit of an indictment, but it is what it is, and we are where we are. But we're one of the most heavily taxed nations on this planet, and yet, despite all of that, there isn't necessarily always all of the funding available to be able to fund every for-purpose organization to the extent that they really need to be funded. And in the case of FLC, understanding the immense need to break the poverty cycle was a catalyst for me as the CEO of our business to get involved, because I know what the alternatives look like. We've all seen it on the news and on the street, and that cycle needs to be broken. And the only way we're going to break it is if businesses like ours get involved and take part in doing something to facilitate some of what an organization like FLC and others that are attending today and will watch the video, no doubt, need in order to make those things happen. They don't happen by magic. All of you are involved in the causes that you're involved with because you genuinely believe in them. But the economic reality is that that's just not enough. So there need to be other mechanisms for supplementing whatever funding you receive, be it from government agencies or other sources, to supplement it in a way through relationships with the corporate community. Now we're not, and Sarah was very kind to talk about my knowledge and my mentorship, but Majestic is not just Tal. We have a team of people, and it's really about their involvement in that process as well. And I think that their involvement is of paramount importance, and probably much more so than mine directly. But what's important to understand here from a corporate perspective is that really the biggest initial driver for us at Majestic was the employee engagement and satisfaction. I believe, and we believe, that it takes a certain kind of person to have a genuine interest in supporting social causes. And it's that kind of person that we want to attract to be part of Majestic. It aligns really well with our own belief system. And if you have that kind of person, when we have, I should say, that kind of person working with us as a member of our team, it means that we are communicating and engaging with all of our clients, including those that are very much for profit, in a certain way. And that's the way that we want to promote. That is Majestic. And we believe that as a result of our work with FLC, our employees, our teams feel more engaged. They're prouder to work for a company that supports charitable causes, and in particular this one. So we look for things that our team wants to engage with, what resonates with them as well. And it creates a greater sense of belonging, and ultimately it increases team retention. That's really what it is. You know, it's really difficult to find talent out there, and in our industry, very difficult to find talent. We are for the last decade at least, we have an ongoing shortage of technical skills in this country, and so having a better story to tell, and this is not just about what is our remuneration policy, but it goes far greater extent than that. Telling that better story attracts talent into our business. Look, I think the next biggest driver is increasing customer loyalty, and I'm talking here about those clients of ours who are very much for profit, and we are very mindful of the fact that like attracts like. So by definition, it's highly likely that our clients have the propensity to be loyal to us as a brand, or any brand for that matter, that demonstrates social responsibility. And so when we go and speak with a new prospect or a new client, we tell the story, and we tell the story very proudly about our connection with organizations that deliver a substantial social impact, and we tell it in a way that those corporates with whom we engage in delivering services listen to the story, and when it resonates with them, that's incredibly powerful. And it works. It simply just works for us. It provides us with a mechanism to create alignment with other brands who feel the same way as we do. The third point is really around enhancing our brand image. So look, I think everyone knows and acknowledges that when you're able to share good stories that resonate, it enhances brand. People get to hear and see more about what it is that you do, and when they like what they see, they follow it more. I think a lot of people understand it and know it. Not necessarily everyone that acknowledges it actually does something about it, but associating with a good cause fundamentally improves the public perception of us and other corporates who do the same thing. That shows that we care more than just about our bottom line, and sponsoring a charity or fundraising event initiatives can lead to some positive media attention. We recently helped FLC in one such example, and the number of comments that I, as the leader of our business, received afterwards, offline, of course, and in a very non-invasive way, so not necessarily directly on posts online, but as private messages, was immense. And those kind of initiatives and gaining that kind of attention really enhances our corporate profile. Again, needless to say, supporting local charities strengthens community ties. And that's whether the community is in a very particular geographical area, like in the case of FLC around the city of Casey and in Frankston, or it's a broader geographical area like Melbourne or Victoria or even Australia. Understanding that in strengthening community ties and creating a positive impact in the areas in which we operate, I should say, byproduct of that is that those sponsorships open new doors to business relationships and partnerships with other companies that otherwise we may not have necessarily had the opportunity to have. Really, organizations that are involved in the same cause, or those that feel that they have a shared ideology, again, it creates a better alignment there. And last but not least, and that probably doesn't even need to be said, but really any donations to DGRs are tax deductible. So there is also a financial benefit in that.
Thank you, Tal. So I suppose just to highlight that, as a community organisation, as I mentioned at the beginning, we're a values-based and a values-led organisation, and I think that by having a strong, robust values system within your organisation enables you to use that as the compass for any decision making, any recruitment, and it leads you to partnerships and collaborations with like-minded organisations. So is there another slide, Bree?
No, I think that this is it, if I'm not mistaken, but I'd also like to add, it just occurs to me, and Sarah, you touched on it before, I think it's absolutely imperative for anyone that's listening to us today or might watch this later on. It's absolutely imperative that the engagement between the For Impact organization and its potential corporate suitors is carried through all the way from the board down. This is not it's up to the CEO to make all of this happen on their own. I think that boards of various not-for-profits have a big role to play, both in supporting the CEO's initiative internally, operationally within the business, but also externally in their own relationships within other organizations and in the corporate world. Often people feel very strongly about investing their time and their energy and their knowledge base in helping govern an organization at board level, but and you know, that maybe doesn't really need to be said, but I'll say it nonetheless. The board's role in helping to influence and introduce and navigate decision-making processes around community and corporate engagement is absolutely vital. And likewise, then within the organization, it's important that everyone sings from the same hymn book. So having the message from the CEO with the organizational initiatives and imperatives, carrying that through the organization and really seeking the support of everyone within the organization to go out there and think about who are they connected with, who are they engaged with, what other community groups that are frequented by people who own businesses or run businesses or are involved with businesses that could potentially align with their story. And go as far as to even prepare and have everyone trained on, as part of your PD days, trained on the almost like an elevator pitch. And I'm not suggesting for a second that everyone in an organization should become salespeople. That's not really what it's about. But being able, in a really succinct, very clear way, to be able to share in any social setting the value or the essence of what it is that the organization is about in about 30 seconds. Incredibly important. And then having the courage to get up in those social settings, in whatever those social settings are, and share it.
Excellent, thank you. So I suppose, did anybody have any questions? I might hand back to you, Nina.
I have to remember how to unmute myself. Yeah, look, that's been fantastic. Thank you to both of you. I know I sort of wrote down a few notes myself, and I really agree with that last point you made, Tal, in terms of, you're right, not everyone has the ability to be that salesperson from within their organization. But yeah, I think really having an aligned elevator pitch of, you know, a 30 second, 60 second, 90 second kind of grab, that, you know, when you are out, you know, every person really has quite a wide network of varying, you know, people who come in and out of their lives. And, you know, I know my former role and in the role I'm in now, you know, even just attending business network events, you know, which might be a breakfast, or it might be a lunch, or it might be, you know, just an opening of a something. You know, you really are exposing the organisation that you represent to many, many, you know, different businesses and different opportunities. And it's just really is, like what you were saying, opens up that scope, I guess, to try to find like-minded and, you know, businesses that share those core values. I think that was, from your presentation, that was something that really resonated with myself, was that you really have, you know, really aligned, you know, core values and position and community links, you know, which I think has been really, you know, really fantastic, and really insightful and really passionate. You just feel the passion from both of you, really resonating just even through the Zoom screen. So I really thank you, you know, for that as well. So yeah, so really we can open the floor up. It's a small group today, so if people wanted to ask questions, if they wanted to just put up their electronic hand, we can definitely, you know, just go to those.
I might just add, perhaps before any hands go up, I'll add just in response to what you've just said now, Nina.
Yeah.
You as a CEO and the audience that we're going to have for this video are likely to be other leaders of their own respective organizations. It goes far. I can't say it loudly enough. It goes much further than the CEO. I think that every person who genuinely believes, the reason that people get involved with a social impact or with a for impact organization is because they believe deep in their heart in what the organization is about. So when you speak from the heart, it's by osmosis, that's felt out there. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in a business gathering where you have an opportunity to attend a breakfast or a lunch or a dinner as a CEO. It can be a barbecue on the weekend with family and friends where one of those friends happens to run a business. And if they already like you and you're a team member in a for impact organization, there's no doubt in my mind that they'll listen to what you have to say because they're interested in you as a person. That's already an in. It's a starting point. And it doesn't need to be a blatant, oh, look, we're raising money, come and help. It doesn't need to be like that. It's just about telling a story. Those people with whom it resonates will come forward.
It's really practical. That's really helpful, Tal. Thank you.
So, so were there any specific questions that people would like to ask? Or any feedback, insights?
I would like to add something. I really like the presentation and I would love to come to meet you guys in person because I am a data-driven person. I would like to see how much diversity you have in your clients and services. And because I'm a representative of a diverse community and I want to see my people on a space where they are welcomed with their cultural cultural inclusion and cultural representation. So I would love to come and see you guys because you have heaps of things which actually align up with the things which I would like to see to run within our communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'd love to welcome you out to Foundation Learning Centre.
I'm sure we can make those connections. So that's great.
Great.
So are there any sort of other specific, I'm not sure whether Helen or Rabia, whether you've got, or Mina, whether you've got corporate partnerships, whether you wanted to ask any sort of specific questions around what you might already have or what you might be planning or...
Hi, Nina. Thank you. I'm in process of developing Learn Local community in South Barwon region because the organization just went through a restructuring. Now the brand name is very new for the community, though the benefit that I have is the space. It's the same space, but because the brand name has changed, so developing that trust with new brand name. So I'm in process of that, reaching out to all previous clients and bringing them together. So it's a very mixed experience that I'm following. So that's why I'm joining all these presentations just to hear out and develop my understanding and adopt the practices that may work and to see where I can adjust or customize myself with the new experience practices.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. I think I can relate to your situation. Our organisation went through a rebranding in 2019 from a name that was very limiting geographically to our current name. So that was a really big undertaking and process. So I understand your concerns or your worries about how the community is going to respond to the new branding and the new name. So happy to reach out and chat with you offline if you've got any questions in that space. But Yeah.
That would be great. Thank you very much, Sarah. And hopefully I'll reach out to you offline as well to share some things and what needs to be done. Because sometimes it just seems like it's a block in, and then revisiting those things and thinking, okay, no, this could be one of the options, but I believe it will be really good to have someone to discuss it and know other perspectives as well.
Sure, happy to.
Yeah, thank you.
And Peter, you've got your mic off. Were you wanting to say something?
Oh, look, I was just listening in. It was a great presentation. It's good to hear from everyone. Rabia, are you down in the Bellarine region?
Yes,
Yeah, so am I. So, I mean, if you want to catch up again offline, maybe I can help through my networks and people I know and things I've learned in the past that could help.
Oh yeah, that would be really awesome. I'll definitely get in touch.
Yeah,
great.
that sounds
Thank
good.
you.
That sounds great. And Helen, you're
Yeah. Thanks, Nina and Sarah and Tal. Look, that was a great presentation. And I think, so I'm in Vermont South. And I think we're probably all, well, actually, no, I won't speak for everyone. Information gathering and just hearing stories about what's out there and what's possible. You know, sort of, I think the whole model of neighbourhood houses and community houses is changing, has been for quite some time, and we're all trying to break free of the mold that's been set for us in years gone by, and we're having to sort of, you know, I think we've all been thinking differently for quite some time, but now it's kind of getting to a critical point just in terms of sustainability, survival, and you know, just looking at different ways to do business, I suppose, and not leaving the community behind, not necessarily changing what people think about community organisations, but yeah, bringing other people into the fold and getting them to understand what that collaboration actually is and how it sort of benefits everyone. So that's kind of, you know, so yeah, I'm like Rabia, I'm kind of just grabbing opportunities to listen in on presentations like this, just, you know, it's great ideas, hate the overused term, but so much food for thought, you know, like you really need to sort of think as widely, as broadly as possible. And it was a great presentation. I really enjoyed it. So I'm here on my own. So if you've seen me dashing in and out and waving, it's because I'm it. I am the office today. So, but yeah, thank you so much. It was really great.
Thanks, Helen.
Yeah, that's great. And thanks for taking the time. I did see you pop up and down a couple of times. And yeah, and I know that that's really difficult to juggle when you're just there on your own. So yeah, thanks for prioritising, I guess, yeah, coming along today. And it's great to hear that you know, gathered some, you know, real value out of it. So which is great.
Yeah.
So
and just one thing, will copies of this recording be available to us, Nina?
yeah, so they're through our portal, so on our
Right.
website. So I'll send you that link, and if you have any troubles, just let us know. We can very easily just reset a password and things like that. So
fantastic. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
I say we can easily do that. We can easily do that next week when Mel's back from holidays. I'm not sure I could do that, but yeah.
Right. All good. Thank you.
That's okay. Yeah, were there any other further comments? No, again, you know, I just really want to thank both of you for your time today. And I know, Brianna, you are also key there in putting some things together and sort of co-hosting with the slides. So thank you very much for that. And yeah, I agree. I feel like, you know, although my former sort of role and I guess in my role now, you know, I do a lot of those sort of connections with Learn Local organisations and business and other organisations. But, you know, it's really great that, you know, other people who maybe aren't so familiar with, you know, how that sort of can and could work, you know, I've been able to hear from some experienced people today and, you know, your learnings from that. And, yep, I just want to thank you very much for your time. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. If there's no other questions, we can wrap it up now.
Thank you, Nina. Thank you,
Okay.
everybody.
No
Thank you.
worries.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thanks, everybody.